All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16. Jay Greeson joins, wrapping up the next couple games we've seen in SEC football on Saturday, which Jay and I, first thing we said, we're exhausted from that Vanderbilt, Missouri finish. Even Alabama, South Carolina, those were two exhausting games, Jay
I,
Greeson.
I feel like I need a cigarette, and I haven't
Man,
smoked since I was 19. I
well,
mean, I
yeah.
and then you got like the 7 o'clock window. I
Yeah.
mean, oh my word, brother. This is this is madness, and the carnage is real. And look, hey, I got nothing but mad props for Kurt Signetti and what Ryan Day are doing. They don't see this every week. Period. End of the discussion. And I am not one of these guys who chants SEC when it's some random non-Auburn team in a bowl game, because cheering across the league hurts whatever team you cheer most for, because you're
Yeah.
recruiting against all of them. But this carnage, stop. There's stop. I don't want to hear Pat Narduzzi talking about the ACC is the deepest league. I don't want to hear Kurt Signetti talking about, yeah, I win, Google me. Yeah, you do win, but you're playing cupcakes, brother. And this is a bleeping gauntlet.
Yeah. It is. We're going to get into it. I know the regulars jumping in here. Big baller Brett, a bang. And the Alabama comeback at South Carolina. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Commodores, all sorts of stuff here. Before we jump in, remember we are brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel and our friends at Game Time Sidekicks. Yes, Jay showcasing his nice cup there. From Game Time Sidekicks, officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school is there, over 350 more universities as well. They got the stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups. They got it all. SE16 is the code, SE16 for 20% discount to our viewers over there at Game Time Sidekicks. We appreciate them and appreciate you guys buying some cups over there with our friends, GameTimeSidekicks.com. All right, my goodness, we're going to start with Vanderbilt, Missouri. Because, again, game day was there. All the excitement surrounding this game for the Commodores wound up being a defensive slugfest, Jay. I've got so many storylines here we will navigate throughout this thing. But Vanderbilt gets the 17-10 win over Missouri. The Bro Prabula injury felt like that could have been a sort of pivotal point in the game. We'll talk more about him in a second, who, again, just seems like a pretty brutal injury. Was carted off, had the air cast on. But Matt Zollers comes in, made some big plays for Missouri. I mean, we'll talk about him in a minute. But once again, Jay, Vanderbilt finds a way to get it done. And, boy, it came down to the final half yard to make sure of it. So,
I mean, how one major visor tip in every regard, and I mean this in the utmost complimentary way in the moment, and not talking about Vanderbilt's history. But the atmosphere Clark Lee has built there, that didn't look like a Vandy game. The Vandy game you and I have grown up with. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah.
not. I am in no way trying to be insulting. I am only trying to be complimentary. In damn, dude, you haven't been there that long, and you've created this. And here's something that's 1,000% complimentary. I don't know when we release the power rankings who's going to shake out where. But if we release power rankings on the most mentally tough football team in this league, it's 100% the Vanderbilt Commodores.
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing, right? I'm sure there were many people out there thinking when Prabula was injured, and you're thinking, okay, obviously this is where the momentum turns, right? To where all of a sudden Vanderbilt maybe just comes down and and do what they do. They run away with the game, and you could say, well, it's because Missouri's starting quarterback went out or whatever. But like, what was it that they followed up that they had multiple fourth down conversions in the third quarter. They missed the field goal, and I think my words right after that was, can Vanderbilt capitalize? And what happened? 80-yard touchdown on the next play. But then you just kept, again, going back to, it seemed like every time you thought maybe Vanderbilt was close, Missouri would still, sort of find a way to just hang in there. And again, it goes back to, yes, Ahmad Hardy had some big runs, but I mean, Zollers just made some key throws. I know they were talking about it on the broadcast. Guy just looks so poised for a freshman to be just standing there and just made some big throws. Now, I know we're going to talk about the muff handoff, and obviously that was a key moment in the game. But yeah, I mean, you can certainly, like you said, look at the Vanderbilt toughness of knowing that it seemed like each time Missouri was not backing down, they just kept to the very, like we said, last half yard there, but Vanderbilt just kept finding a way to make the plays. And now, Jay, I'm going to throw this number at you. I know ESPN was throwing it up the entire game, but it was, with a win, Vanderbilt's college football playoff percentage, at least in ESPN data, goes up to 51%. For Missouri, had they won, it would have been 53%. With the loss, goes down to 16% for the Tigers.
Well, and I think I talked about this on several of our podcasts through the week in regards to, look, any SEC team that gets to 10-2 will get in. Period. End of conversation. But the last month of carnage is going to be bitter and brutal. But this is one of those games, not unlike what happened in Norman, Oklahoma, that you could very well have two 10-2 teams that are sitting on the table and one has beaten the other head-to-head. So that's where the punch to the stomach is. And Vanderbilt's resume, at least to this point, Missouri's resume is not spectacular. I mean, their record is good. Now, in the macro, I'm going to go ahead and say it because nobody wants Prabula to be seriously hurt, even with the air cast and all of the conversation. Other than the muffed handoff, Zellers looked better than Bo Prabula did today.
He was, I mean, and I know I've seen a couple comments from Missouri fans in here, and I know there are going to be some Vanderbilt people saying, why are you talking about him so much? Like, that was such a big part of the way this game played out, right? Is because he came in and he played pretty well, as we said, and I think that's why he is going to be talked about a lot coming out of this. Yes, Vanderbilt won the game, but obviously you're talking about what seems to be a significant quarterback situation for, quarterback development for Missouri based on the Prabula injury, and now having this, having Zollers come in and just, again, look really good at times and make some big throws, make some key plays. But, yeah, I mean, and you mentioned, like, if you're looking at the body of work to this point, I'm going to give the updated, and remember, FanDuel doesn't have their updated playoff numbers. They won't have them just yet. But if you're looking at Vanderbilt, so they do have the current numbers to make the college football playoff quarterfinals, okay? Vanderbilt to make the college football quarterfinals, so we're just going to use that as the number they have right now, plus 155, which is, again, I mean, Notre Dame's minus 110, Texas Tech plus 145, Vanderbilt plus 155, Georgia Tech's plus 360 for reference on that, Tennessee's plus 750, and so forth.
Georgia Tech's plus 360 at 8-0?
To make the quarterfinal, they are plus 360. Yeah, so that's just to make the quarterfinal. Again, they don't have their updated to make the actual playoff numbers. Those will come after, of course, the games today. But
I love the Georgia Tech bet. I'm actually about to, as soon as we get off here, I'm logging into my FanDuel account and making that bet, because even if they falter down the stretch, and I know this is an ACC 16, because then it'd have to be ACC 17, but that's enticing.
Yeah. So we'll see what I'm curious to see what Vanderbilt's number is to make the playoff now. We said it, for ESPN, they have it at 51% coming off the win. Now, of course, that's going to be a moving number based on how other things play out. But yeah, just quickly for the final stats on this game, and then we'll kind of run through the upcoming schedule for both teams. As we said, if you didn't watch this game, which I always try to give these stats as reference because I know not everyone is able to watch every game. But yeah, I mean, Vanderbilt wins 17-10. They only have 13 first downs in the game. What was it? At one point, it was like they had only ran 8 plays in the second half, and that was pretty deep into, I want to say, whatever that was. I remember that they put up the number there. But yeah, I mean, Missouri with 376 total yards, Vandy with 265. Obviously a game where each team had several penalties, had eight each, had a turnover each in this game. Bobby had the interception, of course, the fumble, as we said, it's going to be one that probably played the biggest impact based on how it all played out down the stretch. But if you look at the individual numbers, Pavia 10 of 19, 129, and an interception. So again, certainly not his best game, but going up against a really good Missouri defense. He did have the one rushing touchdown there, of course, to cap it off. We mentioned Zollers, 14 of 23, 138 and a touchdown there. Hardy went for 20 carries, 97 yards on that one. And so, yeah, that's kind of your big numbers. And you do look at the overall picture here. Vanderbilt's upcoming schedule, or really we'll just give you their schedule the rest of the way. They're at Texas, which we may talk about that here in a second too, Jay, which they're trying to make a furious comeback right now. We'll see where we're at the end of the show. But Vanderbilt's at Texas next week. That's an early kickoff. They host Auburn. They host Kentucky. They're at Tennessee. So if you're wondering why Vandy's right about that 50% mark maybe on the ESPN data, I get it because, they're going to be favorites at home against Auburn and Kentucky. The 2 games on the road, what would you say right now, Jay? And maybe it depends. Maybe if Texas wins, if they don't win. But what would you set that number out, let's say, at Texas right now and at Tennessee for Vanderbilt?
Texas loses. Either way, they're an underdog. Even if Tennessee loses at Kentucky, because and I'm not saying they should be considered the lesser opponent. What I am saying is betting lines factor in the popularity of teams in the algorithm. And there's way more money bet every week on Texas, Notre Dame, Tennessee, Ohio State. So those lines are inflated. And that's just how it works. I'm not saying Vandy should be an underdog. But what I am saying is they will be, even if Texas pulls this out, they'll be between a 3 and a 7 point underdog at Texas. They will be favored in both the home games, as you alluded, and they will be probably a 7.5 point underdog in Knoxville unless the wheels fall off.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they're at. And I'm going to bring this up, Josh. I know you mentioned it earlier. I'm just going to throw this as maybe the counterpoint on this. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the FanDuel Vandy plus 155 to make the quarterfinals, I think that is certainly playing into the idea. Remember, they're the number 10 team in the country right now. Coming off this win, we'll see where they settle at. But, you could be in that 8-9 or whatever. And so I think that, the odds move further in their favor the closer they get to being, let's say, a higher seed or even in that 8-9 type scenario. So I think that's why, that number's probably where it's at right now. So yeah, I think, for Vanderbilt, as we said, that's kind of the picture moving forward. For Missouri, if you look at what they have left, which I feel like we've talked about a lot this season in terms of the stretch run for them, they're going to host Texas A&M, which they get the off week, which is important probably for Missouri coming out of this game. They get to bye, host Texas A&M, host Mississippi State. They're at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. So I think, again, Jay, based on Missouri, I mean, these are absolutely all winnable games for Missouri down the stretch. Will they go 4-0? I don't know, but it's why I know their percentage to make the playoff drops now that you have a couple losses because you're probably building in another loss somewhere based on opponents. But, if you pull off that upset against A&M at home, I mean, you're in a really good spot.
That becomes your play-in game. You've got to have that because and if you're a Missouri fan and trying to find solace right now that's not dark liquor or gorging yourself on leftover game day snacks, you need Texas A&M to win in Baton Rouge, and that way that enhances your victory. Because in truth, even at 10-2, because somebody put it in there, I think Josh put it in there, that if there's a glut of 10-2 SEC teams with the unbalanced schedule, Missouri's strength of wins will work against them. So you need A&M to come to Como not only unbeaten, but hopefully ranked in the top 2 or 3 in America.
Yep. Crucial game tonight. I think Oklahoma fans rooting for LSU. Brian and I noted that earlier based on Oklahoma's need to make up a lot of ground the rest of the way, but have a tough enough schedule that maybe there's still a possibility for them, but we'll see. But yeah, I think for sure if you're Missouri, you love A&M to be sitting still unbeaten entering that game on November the 8th. So, but again, we'll see kind of what the story is for Missouri coming out of this. Obviously, best wishes to Bo Prabula after the injury. I'm sure, again, I don't have all the stuff pulled up right now, but I'm sure, we start to get some updates on that. And certainly didn't look good in that scenario. One other thing, Jay, I got to bring up from this game, okay? Every week we talk about something with SEC officiating, okay?
We do.
And I know, look, Missouri fans, and I know people have been bringing up, the play on Prabula and all that. And look, I get it, going back and watch the replay and all that stuff. But I still, this is one where the fumble call on Cedric Alexander and how on the field they declared it a fumble, Jay, you gotta help me out on this one. Like,
I can't.
How could any of the guys out there, after the way that play developed, how could you possibly rule that a fumble? Is it one of those things where you're like, we're just going to call it a fumble on the field because we know we can reverse it? I was really getting to the point where I'm like, I don't think they're going to reverse this. I think they're going to call this a fumble, and it clearly wasn't. So I just thought it was an absolutely atrocious call on the field. And look, I know, again, you can get it right on the replay, but to make the call that on the field when it was very clear there was no clear picture whatsoever, it was something. So,
look, man, the starting point has to be that Greg Sankey-Leg and the SEC office. I know you are amazingly busy with what we're trying to grow here, but it is amazingly enjoyable to watch ACC football on Friday night because they let you in the replay room.
Yeah.
And you hear the conversation between the guys watching the replay and the referee in the headset. And he's going, so you got this, and then you got this. And every single time they get it right. And even if they missed it, the transparency avoids all this conversation of conspiracy theories and money brokers and power players in Birmingham pulling strings to try to make certain the best storyline is in position to be a potential playoff contender. I mean, transparency is the answer here. I mean, you want to talk about Sankey-Leg being unbelievably thankful. He permanently suspended an official this week. And I got a side question for you, Blake. What's the difference between permanently suspended and fired? I mean, like, if UNT decided to permanently suspend me from Southeastern 16, doesn't that technically mean I'm fired? I mean, but they permanently suspend an official, and then in like 12 hours, the NBA gambling scandal erupted. So nobody's talking about the first time I can ever recall an SEC official who was the lead official in the Georgia Auburn game, another of the litany items that of games that were atrociously officiated. So, I mean, it's a storyline every week, and I know it's a common refrain for teams that come up on the short side. Believe me, I'm an Auburn graduate. I understand the banging of the drum of we got hosed by the officials it can be tired, but the SEC officiating is the biggest issue in this league right now. Period.
Well, the biggest issue, Jay, as I'm looking here in Starkville, Mississippi, right now, is Mississippi State has now allowed Texas to tie this game on a punt return touchdown.
Oh, no.
It's 38 all with 1:47 to go.
Mississippi State fans, as an Auburn fan, you're my kindred spirit. I mean, I don't have a rooting interest in this game, and I don't have money on it, but I can feel your angst.
Yeah, I'm looking like return. As you were talking, I'm like, no, yep, there it goes. So we're tied. Oh. We'll see again where we're at by the time we finish this one up. Josh with the comment of the day. Sark is trying to lose the game to go to the NFL. Mississippi State won't let him. So no, you got to stay here.
That's funny.
So we'll see if that's how it plays out on that. One other thing I did want to mention, I didn't mention earlier from Vanderbilt, Missouri, and then we're going to move on to Alabama, South Carolina. But again, it was a defensive type game. Missouri's defense, obviously they play well, but Vanderbilt's defense, man, they made a couple huge plays throughout that game. Obviously, the one at the end to hold a man half a yard short, but a couple just huge plays and big moments for the Vanderbilt defense during that game. So I'm sure Clark Lee will enjoy that there for the Doors. But shout out to Ethan, a regular here, big Vanderbilt fan, getting the victory. But yeah, Vanderbilt fans, Missouri fans, let us know in the chat how you feeling moving forward and all that. So
before we leave this game, and I meant to sign in and buy them, but I need to ask you a favor. We had a Missouri fan and a Vandy fan earlier this week, may have been on Monday, bet 4 subscriptions for the outcome of this game, and I said I would match it. I'll send you a check. Can you give out 4 subscriptions to people who may not have one, and you can bill me later?
So I can find a way to do that. I don't know if I can do that right this second because I think that's
fine. Can we do it on Monday?
We will do it. Yeah, we'll do it on Monday. I just put it down in my notes, so yeah,
okay.
We'll do it. All right. So there you go, guys. You're going to get some free subscriptions handed out on Monday. So be sure to join in on the Power Rankings on Monday. The live show starts at 10 a.m. Central Time, so you guys can hop in on that. All right. We're about to jump into thoughts on Alabama, South Carolina. And before we get there, though, we're going to tell you about a couple of our fine sponsors here at the channel. And we're going to start with our friends at the Yearly Company, which Jay Greeson may or may not give us some visual evidence.
Here we go.
Great.
I had to dodge my dogs. Look
at this. Oh, tremendous. Yearly Company's probably like, listen, we gave you something to read. Just put the dog on the screen every time, and that's going to convert way more than you guys speaking. But
here's Bo. Here's Bo.
Look at this. This is incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff from the Yearly Company. The Yearly Company did not give Jay his dogs, but they did give Jay a fine hat because you can see it right there.
Hat.
It's tremendous.
Hey, they sent the whole kit to the Mrs. 5 at 10, my wife, and she loves their product. And gang, I know he's got to read. I'm just going to tell you this as a dude. If you can check your Christmas box before Halloween for the Mrs., trust me. I mean, that's a huge headache off the line. I mean, have you seen the internship with Vaughn and Wilson?
Yes.
And he says all the time, he goes, we're just going to put it on the line. if you can check that off the line, then hey, it's a win-win for everybody.
That's all you got to do. And yeah, I mean, and look, they're giving you a free sizing kit. If you really don't want any hassle whatsoever, sizing kits, 100% off at our friends of the Yearly Company. Use the code SC16KIT, 100% off. It's a free complimentary sizing kit for you guys. So you can check it out. Remember, each piece handcrafted from solid 14 karat gold, natural gemstones, made to measure for that perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Every one of them's custom size. So again, you have to know the size. Go check it out. Get the sizing kit, 100% off, SC16KIT at the Yearly Company there. All right, let's get to our friends at ROKFORM, the world's strongest magnetic phone case, as you know. ROKFORM has extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. They got all kinds of fun stuff going on over there in October. So if you have a new iPhone, want to get a case, accessories, something like that, you can do it. SEC25 for 25% off over there. 25% off, ROKFORM.com, ROKFORM.com. And then our friends at HOVI Dry Goods, your new favorite hat, outside of your Yearly Company hats, of course.
I have one of those, but I just don't want to leave the screen.
You can't wear two at one time. You could if you wanted to. If you're that into it, you could. But
it'd be like a Sherlock Holmes version.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone would buy if we did that. But your new favorite hat, of course, HOVI Dry Goods. Look no further than the HOVI hats for high-quality headwear, great fit, unique designs, bad beat, all together. 15% off over at HOVIDryGoods.com. All right, let's get to the game between the Alabama Crimson Tide and South Carolina Gamecocks. You guys keep weighing in on as you're watching, and I'm following this wild Mississippi State-Texas game here. But looks like we may be headed to overtime on this one. But Alabama rallies at South Carolina to get the win. I got to find this comment from our guy here earlier because I thought this was the greatest. From Kenneth, you better show up on the road in the SEC and bring a lunch in all caps. That's right. That's what you got to do, Kenneth, to pull off a victory. That's what the Crimson Tide did, 29-22. Alabama wins this one, Jay. A furious rally, of course, late for the Tide. The North Cellar fumble stripped away by the Crimson Tide there. And Jeremy Bernard takes the fake reverse for the touchdown, which sealed it. By the way, too, Alabama, I thought, just Taylor DeBoer, Ryan Grubb, just tremendous play calls down the stretch on the touchdown to tie it, and then the 2-point conversion there to make it 22-all. But yes, Alabama wins it 29-22 in Columbia.
You could tell how much. Look, you and I still owe our regulars a breakdown of any given Saturday, but I think Clark Lee was the biggest show or the biggest star in that, or my takeaway was that Clark Lee looked the best of all the coaches they got the opportunity to follow. Beamer has that motivational skill. I mean, I'm not saying it's DNA, but he was certainly raised around it, probably been in locker rooms since he was 9. And that team was motivated, and they played their chin straps off. But look, Alabama's got a bunch of dudes, and Tim Keenan see, what I loved about that play was Tim Keenan not only ripped the football out of Lenora Sellers' hands, he told the dude who was laying on the football, hey, grab the football. Because if you look at the scrum and they're in the bottom of the pile, the big D tackle who was part of the folks tackling Sellers didn't even know that the ball was underneath him and then scooped it up. I mean, and you're right, man. Alabama's tough. Alabama's a handful. And this was a gettable moment for Alabama because until like the game tying drive, this was not the Ty Simpson we'd seen over the last 6 weeks. He was inaccurate a lot of the time, and even on completions was putting balls in place where he couldn't allow his teammates to accumulate any type of run after the catch. It was a sluggish game, man. Oh man! Look, I think the SEC's got to figure out a way to do away with storming the field. But when the student body comes crashing down to all the lower seats like they did in Williams-Brice tonight, and then have to stand there and watch as you get your guts ripped out. I mean, that goes from a $100 bar tab of celebration to a $150 bar tab of drowning your sorrows.
Let me find this comment because it's perfect. Brandon said this 10 minutes ago, and I want to go back to it. SEC football is amazing. Best sport out there. Soul-crushing, though.
It is soul-crushing.
That's exactly right.
It's one of the things, more than the SEC chant and more than the financial investment of if the SEC gets 5 teams in the playoff, knowing my alma mater is not going to be one of them, that behooves Auburn University. But it's soul-crushing because all of us know the angst of a Saturday at 7:52 Eastern, and your team just lost a game it should have won against a highly ranked opponent. And we also know the elation of winning a game that nobody expected. Hey, you and Brian still gave me a coronary at 3:50 this afternoon. And for those who are just joining, I did not have the TV on. Auburn was up 30-24, and they both convinced me that Arkansas blocked the field goal and ran it back for a touchdown because that only happens to Auburn. And then now Mississippi State gives up the game-tying touchdown on a punt return. So Starkville and Auburn, kindred spirits.
Yeah, we will see how that one finishes. Now heading to overtime in Starkville, but boy, that will be something. Yes, if they talk about soul crushing, if they lose that one, would not be ideal. All right, so yeah, some additional thoughts on Alabama, South Carolina. Our guy, SC Scout Guy, one of our longest running channel viewers here. Absolutely heartbreaking night, camping on an island with a troop of 9 to 14-year-old Boy Scouts right now, and had to. Yes, see how things played out for his Gamecocks. Not ideal there for sure. But yeah, I just look for all the hell that Kalen DeBoer has caught, especially after game 1. Here is, and people can say what they want about Alabama and their belief on whether this team can be this or that or whatever. But here's what I know. I know they won 24-21 at Georgia. They beat Vanderbilt, who is now going to probably be a top 8-9 team in the country, 30-14. They won at Missouri, 27-24. They beat Tennessee, 37-20, and then they just came back and found a way to win at South Carolina, 29-22. Like, they just keep finding ways to win. And I think DeBoer had one of his better, like the way they handled the stretch run of this game. Again, like I said, the play calls I thought were tremendous, to tie the game up, and really just the management. Now, look, it helps when your defensive guy strips the quarterback, and that certainly helps out the way things go there on the finish. But I just thought, again, he did a really good job down the stretch in this game. And, again, where you want to rank him in the SEC and all this other stuff, sure, like that's a debate for another day. But just taking this single game, and also, Jay, taking this team that everyone was completely done with after week 1, and now look at this stretch that they've gone on. And two, I want to bring this up because the whole thinking going into this week, right? By the way, this is why I bet South Carolina plus 11.5, whatever it was, because I was pretty confident in that you could look at all the statistical trends and see that they were in South Carolina's favor here. Trap game for Alabama after this gauntlet of a stretch, have to go on the road. Beamer's been great at home in these kind of settings, blah, 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 right? But, still, Alabama still finds a way to win the game. And I just think, like you said, even with some things that maybe did not play as well as they have in these other games in this stretch, they still won. And they're 7-1, 5-0 in the SEC. And that loss against Florida State feels like a long, long time ago right now.
Handful of things about Alabama, big picture. coming off the mushroom cloud of conversation here. The first one is something you touched on, and Kalen DeBoer. I don't know if anybody had a more pressure-packed 25 minutes than Kalen DeBoer in like the 6:45 hour, because he loses another game against an unranked opponent, and then the chatter starts happening again. But I will say this. The biggest thing, if you're an Alabama fan, that you got to take away from Kalen DeBoer is he galvanized his locker room after a disastrous week 1 game in Tallahassee. And in the NIL era, and we all complain about mercenaries and portals and guys paying for play and whatever else and all the things, it's just now out in the light. They've been doing this for years, friends. So don't think they weren't playing for pay before this. It's just now added an extra digit into the checks they're writing, and they're not doing it in cash anymore. But the fact that Kalen DeBoer kept this group together and focused on the ultimate goal, that is takeaway 1. Takeaway 2, they found a different way to win today. Because the 6-game win streak was dictated on Ty Simpson being the most efficient quarterback in the country. He was not that today. So they found a different way to win, whether South Carolina gift wrapped it or not. And you posted a comment from SC Scout guy about being on an island with a whole bunch of Boy Scouts. And I mean that in the most complimentary way possible, not in the most controversial way possible. He also then posted, hey, women's basketball season starts in 2 weeks. So, look, that Kalen DeBoer has had them focused to the finish line with all the distractions from that one game in August is pretty complimentary in my mind.
Yeah, kind of looking at some of the things DeBoer said after the game. He was talking about, of course, Keenan and Lawson, just kind of how proud he was of those guys. Obviously, a big moment there in terms of that play and the impact on it. He said this too, Jay. He said that there's probably as much juice in the locker room right now as I've seen over the last 5 weeks. So he feels like they're trending even higher now after, again, probably feeling pretty good and maybe even invincible after finding a way to win that game. And so, yeah, I mean, you can believe it. Like, the confidence, I'm sure, is sky high right now in terms of where they sit. And, yeah, I mean, I can bring up the updated odds. Obviously, the SEC title winner odds, Alabama's plus 120 on FanDuel, A&M's plus 270. We'll see where that's at after tonight. College football playoff, like we said, we don't have the actual to make college football playoff odds right now, but Alabama minus 370 to make the quarterfinal based on where it is at the moment. National championship, still Alabama's right there, plus 750 to win the national championship. That's right behind Indiana at plus 700. Of course, Ohio State is plus 250. So, so that's where we're at with the Crimson Tide. And I'm gonna one more, and this may be. I don't know if I want to ask this question, and this may lead us into a long conversation, but I'm going to ask it anyways. All right, do you agree, Jay? You know, Jesse Palmer's losing it at the end of the game because Jeremy Bernard did not go down.
No,
and
score the
instead
touchdown.
Scored the touchdown. That's what that is my thought too.
Score the touchdown. You can't trust college kickers.
No, you can't.
I mean, no, and then you're going to line up and then run the ball into the middle.
You can't.
And, it's an extra point. Score the bleeping touchdown.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Hey, it's one thing if it's a quarterback and he's got a whole lot of folks about to tackle him, jar the ball loose, do whatever they're going to do defensively. You get a chance to score a touchdown, you score a touchdown.
Yeah. That's my thought too, but I was just curious.
Well, look, we're close. to changing the prism of what is accepted football knowledge and understanding. And I've always put it this way, Blake. I think every major college football program and every NFL team should have an elite level Madden player on their sideline to handle clock management, onside kicks. If I see one more team with 52 seconds left, down by 10, trying to get the touchdown from the 30 instead of kicking the field goal, so you actually have time to get the onside kick and then go score a touchdown, it's going to, I don't understand how hard this is. And look, Kiffin got some heat for going for it on fourth down. Kiffin should get some heat for injecting Austin Simmons into this game when Trinidad Chambliss is clearly your QB1. But I don't ever give a coach heat for going for it outside of his own 20 on 4th and 1, because be true to who you are, because you've got to be true to the guys in your locker room. If you're going to be the guy who goes and goes and goes and goes, then be that guy. Be that guy on Saturday, because you're asking those guys to be those guys on Saturday too.
Yep. All right. We're going to quickly run through. And by the way, here's what we're going to make a decision on, guys. So, I've seen that, like, Arch is hurt now. He's out. This game's still in overtime. We're going to talk about this game on the Tonight Show, on the late show tonight. So I'm just going to go ahead and make that executive decision right now, because I've not seen enough of this based on us doing the show to give you a proper analysis of the way this thing's finished. I do have it taping. Do we call it taping anymore, Jay? Like recording? Is that a better word?
You can't call it taping.
You can't call it taping because it's not. I don't have my VHS set up, but like I can watch the game. I can watch the finish of the game. Okay, let's put it that way. So, and we got two other games that have already kicked off: A&M, LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky. We'll talk about in the late stream tonight. So we're gonna make the executive decision. Texas, Mississippi State. We're gonna move that to the night stream, and we'll wrap that one up since it went to overtime there. But quickly, Alabama. Of course, they get LSU up next. That game will take place after the bye. So Alabama hosts LSU. They host Oklahoma, host Eastern Illinois, at Auburn. Alabama's path seems pretty clear at this point in terms of the way this thing could play out for them the rest of the way. South Carolina, oh my goodness, I forgot. South Carolina is at Ole Miss, and then they are at Texas A&M. Then they host Coastal Carolina and Clemson. So not ideal for the Gamecocks. Jay, 3-5 right now. Of course, trying to get to a bowl is your goal right now, but have now lost 5 of 6. 2 games where they likely will be double-digit underdogs on the road at Ole Miss and A&M. So, yeah, getting there.
And Clemson's a coin flip.
Yeah, seems tough. Let
me ask you this, Blake, because I know you do a great job of playing point guard and asking the questions. That's why you got the mic and the fancy earpiece thing. If you're Beamer, do you start looking around at the landscape? Because there's no way South Carolina fires him. But do you start asking questions about, do I have more longevity in Blacksburg? Do I have an easier path to playoff success in Blacksburg? And I'm not, look, to reference it again, every given Saturday, he's completely content in Columbia, as well he should be. And I think he's got support of the fan base. But they're going to lose Lenora Sellers, and then there are going to be a whole lot of questions going into next year.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about that, right? SC Scout guy, like we talked about the Shula. I feel like we bring that up all the time, and absolutely, you're right. I think the fan base still believes in Beamer. I don't know, Jay. To me, I'm like, what do you think that for Shane Beamer to go to Virginia Tech? Like, what do you think about that? As like is that just one of those things where it's like, do you really want to do that?
I say no.
I don't know. I think it's just such a tough spot because anything you do, you will be compared to your dad. And I just think, look, the expectations will be, I don't know.
No, I completely agree with you. And in fact, I got into journalism my first year out of Auburn. I worked for my dad's company, and I decided to go find something else to do because I was forever going to be Jerry Greason's son. So, I mean, and now I'm talking to like 17 people in the chat, or how many ever people are in the live chat, and get to do something different. Yeah. And got a sleeping dog in my lap. Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no, I completely agree. I don't think it's the smart play, but I think it's got to be a conversation you have because it resets your time clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And true. As far as being employed, and it also, look, Brent Key has shown us that you land a handful of recruits and an NIL quarterback who actually can play. And I know, I don't know what our time limit is, but we need to talk about, you want to talk, hey, NFL quarterbacks, teams can win with bad NFL quarterback play. You can't win if your quarterback plays bad in this league. You cannot win.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep. No, I'm with you. You've got to have great. I mean, that's again why have some of the teams that have taken such a big step forward. We mentioned the Diego Pavia effect all the time. I mean, yes, Vanderbilt's done a lot of things to improve their program, but like having that guy is a large percentage. Just having him and being able to kind of lean on him in those kind of spots. I know Frank's saying, hey, the whole fan base isn't behind Beamer, which, yes, I don't think we mean every single person, Frank. But I think that, yeah, clearly there are some detractors, and we'll see how it plays out. But and two, I know you brought that up before, S.E. Scott guy, about Virginia Tech. They certainly have made that kind of known, that we'll see kind of where they land in the pecking order of all that. But, yeah, so, all right. It looks like Mississippi State's going to come down to the final play here against Texas, but like we said, we will hold that off for the night stream. We will do that here after the late set of games. So remember, if you're a Mississippi State, Texas fan, jump on in. We'll talk about it. Sark to the Titans. Who was it? Someone said the comment up here a second ago. If Sark is thinking about, here you go. Sark wanted to coach the Titans is proof he's sick in the head. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, Titans. You got a number one pick, man. Any NFL job where you have a recent number one quarterback pick, people are going to be interested. But that's
hey, the way they're playing right now, they may have another number one pick.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not saying that it's a guarantee that's going to work for Cam Ward, but still, we'll see. All right. We're going to hop off, guys. Again, join us here in a little while after these late games, A&M, LSU, Tennessee, Kentucky. We will circle back around on Texas and Mississippi State, so we'll have plenty of thoughts on that. Chris will be joining there on that one. So we appreciate you guys hopping in as always. Remember, check out our fine sponsors, FanDuel, all the others we mentioned as well. And we will give you a lot more thoughts tonight, the yearly company, all that good stuff. Shout out to the regulars in the chat, Tyler, all kinds of people. Everybody's here having a fun time. Maybe not fun time. You're having a good time with us. You're maybe not having a fun time with your team, but nonetheless, we appreciate you. And again, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We'll be back in a bit. Thanks as always for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.